In today's video, I'm going to give you 4 controversial coaching ideas for youth baseball coaches. So if you're a baseball coach, do you need signs? Do you need a coach third base? Do you need a first base coach who's a coach? We're going to talk about this starting now. All right, so number 1, understand my underlying motive here. My motive is solely to help kids have a really good time playing baseball and to learn the baseball IQ and situational intelligence that they need to be really good players, because we all know players are becoming less situationally aware as years have gone on. This is a problem even in Major League Baseball. They're working on the fact that pitchers in Major League Baseball, when they get brought up, they don't know how to call a game. Pitchers don't call a game when they're young. Coaches call the game all the way up through college. And so players are losing out on the learn from failure and on, just the way humans learn in general. They're not getting a lot of that stuff. So today's video is controversial in the fact that I would deputize a lot of this learning and some of these coaching things and some of the situational baseball to my players. So let me give you some ideas, and you can think about whether these are right for your team. These will not be right for every team, but these are some things that I did at different points in my coaching career. And my coaching career is on hiatus for now, but I'll certainly have teams again in the future. But let's talk through these 4, which I think are important. So number 1, head coaches should not coach third base. Now look, here's the reason I think this, and maybe this isn't so controversial. If I was coaching third base the entire game, I'm out there by myself and I'm giving signs and I'm missing all the teachable, coachable moments with my players because I'm stuck standing in the third base coach's box. So you as a coach, if you have some expertise and you want to help your kids get better and learn from game situations, you have to be in a place where you can actually talk to them during the game. And guess what? If you're coaching third base the whole time, you can't do it. So realizing this pretty early on, I was like, I'm not coaching third. And they're like, what do you mean? The head coach always coaches. I'm not coaching third. I'm like, I'm gonna be in the dugout with the kids so that I can point out that base running mistake that the other team made. I can be in the dugout pointing out where the outfielders should be, or what pitch should have been called, or what we did wrong, or what we did right, or all these different things. I want to be there where I can grab a kid and say, hey, what do you think about this situation? What would you do here? What would I do there? That was what I wanted to do. Also, it was just way more fun. I get to be around the boys, have that energy, and we were always talking baseball, and like people were locked in because I knew they were there. It's a really positive environment if you can get your best coaches in the dugout to be there for those teachable moments. But I hated being at third base when a teachable moment happened and I couldn't be in the dugout to explain it to someone to help contextualize and or just to point it out, because there were a lot of stuff that I saw that my players didn't see. And I wanted to make sure they saw what I saw in real time. So as a coach, just find someone else. It could be your assistant, could be your third assistant, it could be whoever, but just find someone else to coach third base. And yes, maybe I would have been the best at waving runners home, and maybe this coach that you put out of third base isn't as good at that, and some runners get thrown out at the plate or whatever. I think that's a small price to pay here and there, because no one's perfect at making those, should I send them or should I hold them moments anyway. But you really want to try to find a way to get your best coach in the dugout so they can have those teachable moments with their players. So number 1, don't coach third base. Number 2, this is going to be even more controversial. Don't give signs at third base at all. This makes the whole problem a lot easier. Now, you might say, Dan, this is crazy. Why would I not give signs to my teams? Because what if I want them to steal or to bunt or to hit and run? Well, what you could do is spend extra time in practice teaching your kids when they should steal, when they should not steal, when they should bunt, when they should not bunt, and when a good time to hit and run looks like. Now, we didn't do any hit and runs. That hitting and running is kind of a thing that I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I think the cost benefit analysis isn't very good, because if you pop the ball up, it's double play, hit a line drive, it's double play, hit in the outfield, you get no benefit in the air. It just, for me, hitting and running was not for me. Stealing and bunting, those are highly situational, where once you play the game a long enough time, you know when runners are going to probably try to steal second base and when it makes less sense for them to do that, right? You want to steal second base with 0 outs. That way a ground ball to the right side moves into third with 1 out, and then a sac fly or another ground ball will score them. That's a manufactured runtime. So you want to steal second base with 0 outs or 2 outs, because if you steal second with 2 outs, worst case scenario, the inning's over. Best case scenario, you got to second with 2 outs. Now a single is going to score a run, whereas you're kind of a dead inning otherwise. So stealing second, no outs or 2 outs is very smart. Stealing third with no outs or 2 outs, not very smart. Stealing third with 1 out is very smart because now a sac fly scores you, whereas a sac fly would not score you from second, even if you then tagged up to third because now you're there with 2 outs. So anyway, without getting into the long and the short of it, you can explain this stuff to your kids pretty well. And you can also say, hey, are you fast enough to steal bases? Are you not fast enough? If you're not that fast, what are situations where they might forget about you and then you can get a freebie? You can teach your kids this stuff and then just let them do it. And if they get caught, you talk to them about it, right? You say, hey, probably not the best time to steal third there, right? You stole third with 2 outs. Why do we not want to steal third with 2 outs? Because we need a single to score you anyway, right? So it gives you more chances for them to learn by failing and to learn by doing. And when they have to think through it, whether it's a good thing or bad thing, they're learning when they're thinking through it. So for me, it was a win-win-win. Like I wasn't going to bunt that often. And I was kind of giving kids who felt like they could steal the green light anyway. So I just made it, I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to take a whole hands-off approach. And like, you take a pitch when you feel like you should take a pitch. You want to swing away, swing away. And if you get it wrong, we'll talk about it. But I'd rather them try and think and fail and correct rather than me do everything for them and then they never learn anyway. Real quick, do you want to support my channel and get access to hundreds of member-only baseball videos? If so, click the join button that you'll find right below and learn more about becoming a channel member. Number 3, don't call pitches. I am adamant about this. This is the same thing. You learn by doing and you learn by failing. And when coaches call the pitches, players don't have to have these complex decisions in their head about what pitch they're going to throw and why. Also, it's a really fun, fascinating part of pitching when you get to call your own game and think through the game. Like, what can I throw this hitter? It's a mental battle in addition to a physical battle. But when coaches call it for their players, pitchers lose out on that. And this is very apparent even in the pro game now because GMs are scrambling to try to figure out how to teach their minor leaguers how to call a game because they're bad at it. And they're bad at it because they've had the game called for them their entire career. And it's a control thing. As a coach, can you put your ego aside and let your players call the game? I did. I didn't call one pitch for my pitchers, even though I was a pro pitcher myself and I would have called a pretty darn good game. But I didn't care. I was like, I want them to learn. I want them to get to love the game the way they want to love it. And I want them to be out there and saying, if I get beat on a curveball, it was the pitch that I chose. It's my career, not me as a coach. It's my pitcher's career. And so they get to live and die on their own 2 feet and they get to make decisions. When they're out there, it's like, I didn't call that bad pitch that went for a double. And guess what? All of you coaches out there who call pitches, your team still loses a lot, right? Your pitchers get home runs and doubles and triples. Do you take responsibility for that? Probably not. Let your pitchers do it. They're smarter than you think. Just teach them a framework. If you don't have a framework, I have videos I've made on my channel that give you a framework. Here's generally what you're going to throw 1-1. Here's generally where you're going to throw 2-1 and why. Here's generally where you're going to throw 0-1. There is a general framework for this. Pitchers are more formulaic than we think. We think we're like super geniuses, but we're kind of robotic. You start to move the ball off the plate and move the ball over the plate when you start to fall behind in the count, right? So it's not as complicated as you think, and a little bit of coaching and then letting them do it, and then you can debrief after is so much better than you calling it and then trying to scramble and say, oh, this is why I called that pitch, or they can shake you off, but just let them call it. I swear they're going to be okay. My team still won a lot of games, and I didn't call a single pitch. And they had a good time, and they learned a lot about the game, and they owned it. It was full ownership of their careers, and that's what I wanted for them. I had full ownership of my career, except in college, and I butted heads with my college coach quite a lot because the game he called was a bad game for me. It did not fit my pitching style, and I was a worse pitcher because of it, but I had no say in it. I learned this in pro ball. When I got to pitch however I wanted to pitch, I was so much better at optimizing my own abilities because I could learn from failure, and I got to throw the way I wanted to throw. I was so much better as a pro than I was a college pitcher, in part because of my ability to call my own pitches. So, think about it. I really encourage you to do it. And especially the younger levels, it's more about execution anyway. If you make the right pitch call, quote unquote, and they don't execute, doesn't matter. Or if you make a bad pitch call and they throw it on the black of the plate, doesn't matter either, right? So execution is still the biggest thing, especially when they're young. It's still the biggest thing when you're in the big leagues. So it doesn't make a difference, but either way, I would really encourage you to let your kids call the game. And my fourth thing, my last controversial coaching tip for youth baseball is you don't need a first base coach. And I would let your players put a helmet on and go coach first base themselves, because now they're going to be focused on the game. They're going to be watching the pitcher. They're going to be yelling back for your runner at first base. They're going to have some baseball IQ stuff that they have to really focus on that will be good for their development. And it's not even that really important of a position. If you had to, you could just put a stake in the ground, staple a paper plate to it, draw a smiley face on it, and that would be mostly the same as a human first base coach. When hitters hit the ball in the screws, they know out of the box if they have a chance of getting a double or not. Like they're rounding the base hard. They don't need the first base coach to tell them go to, go to, go to. Only in select circumstances does the first base coach really come into play. With pickoffs, when the first base coach is yelling back, if the player really relied on that, they're already picked off. Like they've got to react when they see it. If they're waiting to hear back, they're probably already picked off. So it's really not a high importance job. And so because it's not very important, let your players do it, which frees up another coach to be in the dugout to coach the actual teachable moments, because now that coach is not stranded in Siberia just collecting leg guards, arm guards, and all that sort of stuff. But let a player do that. And then they also like just giving each other a pound, giving each other a high five. Like they can be a positive force for each other. They get to like chit chat a little bit maybe. Really, I think the benefits are very high for having a player coach first base. And I think the benefits for a coach being out there where the coach can be allocated somewhere else, it's pretty low. So yeah, if you're a first base coach and I've deeply hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. It's just not that important of a position. Third base coach is a lot more important for like base running stuff and waving the runner over to third, tagging up, all that sort of stuff. But the first base coach, I'd say give it to a player. All right, so that's it. That's my 4 controversial youth baseball coaching ideas. Don't call pitches, don't coach third base, don't coach first base, and don't give signs from third base. Those are my 4. So leave me a comment below. What do you think? Would this work for your team? This will not work for every team in every age. Hear me out. It does matter, the age and the maturity, all those sort of things. But in general, you could do this with most teams. And I'd also just urge you as a coach to try and see and learn how resilient your kids are and how intelligent they are, because they're smarter than you think they are, and they're more resilient than you think they are. And they're also more responsible than you probably think they are. I think they can be very capable first base coaches. I think they can make very good decisions on their own, stealing, bunting, all that sort of stuff. If you just give them the framework, give them some basic coaching, and give them some positive and some healthy reinforcement, I think they could do a really good job on this, because I saw with my teams, and we were a high-level team, good players, and parents were not mad at me. We still won. No one really knew, to be quite honest, because it's still baseball, right? So anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, share this with a friend, and I'll see you here in the next video.